So I'm Chris Avellone. I'm creative director at Obsidian Entertainment. That means I usually do a lot of narrative design for our titles, just a lot of writing, a lot of character development, occasionally going in the studio, working with the voice actors, generally just helping with the storylines and designs for our games. I think there's different challenges nowadays. It certainly didn't feel very easy back then. I know when we're working on the same type of RPGs today, like with Wasteland 2 and Project Eternity and Torment, the new Torment game, doing those we're able to do with a much smaller team than we can with some of the AAA titles like Fallout New Vegas. And being able to do it with a much smaller team has actually been really refreshing in a lot of ways. But does it feel easier? Not necessarily. It does feel like the team size is scaled down, but I like that a lot more. It helps with communication, and I feel like everyone's more in sync with what's going on with the game. We were really surprised. We were pretty sure it would hit its funding goal, but not quite so quickly. Our art director, Rob Nessler, however, was absolutely sure that within 24 hours we'd make all our funding. We're like, oh, Rob, stop being ridiculous. That's not going to happen. And then 24 hours later, he's like, ha, 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 I told you guys so. So we had to come up with stretch goals pretty quickly and then decide what sort of a larger, what else we could add to the game that we think would be compelling for players. So yeah, the success took us all by surprise. I think it's just further proof that people really want to see games like this, and they're really passionate about games like this. So we're really looking forward to releasing the game to the public and see how they react. Not 2 years ago, no. I don't think that publishers would have financed a game like that. I do know that one of the problems with Wasteland 2 was they kept trying to pitch it to various publishers, but no one was interested. So when they put it up on Kickstarter, they got a huge amount of support. Project Eternity went up there, got a huge amount of support. Torment Tides of Numenera followed the same path, and I think some publishers realize, hey, wait a minute, there is a huge following for RPGs like this. It's probably worth our time to examine and see if we could fit games like that into our portfolio. So we're actually seeing publishers take interest in games like that, which is really refreshing because we might see more of them, but not only through Kickstarter. So it's been kind of like a wake-up call to the rest of the industry. So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, actually, so what we did was we broke down Dungeons & Dragons in terms of what sort of elements about D&D resonate with players. So, for example, a lot of the class design that we have in Eternity, they still follow on the lines of, like, we have the basic fighter class, we have the rough mage class, the thief class, a lot of the core elements that people recognize from Dungeons & Dragons. But then what we try to do for Eternity is going, okay, well, we've created this brand new world. It's got its own brand of spell system, its own sort of spiritual physics about it. What kind of other classes would be developed in a world like that? So we have the core sort of like more reminiscent D&D classes, but we also have like the classes like the Ciphers, for example, that can like read the souls that are present in people and manipulate those. And that's one of their class abilities, but that's specifically tied to the Project Eternity world. So we've tried to achieve that balance with a lot of our system mechanics. Well, first off, you're being very flattering. I am a terrible artist, and I also don't think I'm a very great game designer. But I enjoy writing for comic books very much, and I do enjoy doing cartoons a great deal. I usually find that cartooning helps with doing like storyboards for various cutscenes and spell abilities and things like that. But yeah, I'm very eager to do more comics in the future. I do know that for the Torment game, we're actually going to be doing graphic novels for that, which I'm pretty excited about, and doing scripts for that. So you should expect to see more of those in the future. Wow. I have absolutely no idea. I think that's relatively unlikely. A lot of the Kickstarter projects we're doing, we're not actually going to have console skews for those, or at least we're not even considering console skews for those. It's very much a keyboard and mouse focused product for the moment. So that's what we're really focusing on. Yes. So there have been other titles I've considered working for. They have never actually, for whatever reason, they have never actually panned out. I think. Because I recently started writing for the FTL Advanced Edition, that's been a change of pace from what I'm usually used to, because I've never actually written for sort of a rogue-style game before. And the encounter design and the options that you can do with the dialogue system the encounter system in FTL, that was a really interesting exercise, and I think it was part of the appeal for why I wanted to do it. So that's been a lot of fun. Wow, that's very flattering. So I don't know. Basically, I just choose a certain theme that I want that character to explore, and I just go from there. And I guess if that ends up resonating with people, that's really great. Usually, with most of the female characters I write, they're usually just like they're there to serve a specific theme or story purpose. Like Kreia in Knights of the Republic 2 was there to question the Force. Kalen the Dove in Mass of the Betrayer was there to sort of foreshadow the looming threat at the end of the game. Usually there's a lot of aspects of those characters that I think, as long as you're exploring them deeply, I think people realize that regardless of gender, you're just creating a deep character. And I don't think necessarily a gender thing at all. It's just, the way to craft a good character. I played Mass Effect 1, and I enjoyed it very, very much. I really like the 80s sort of like sci-fi vibe to it. But when it came to Mass Effect 2 and 3, I haven't delved as deeply into either of those titles, unfortunately. And mostly, considering my work schedule, it's mostly a matter of time. I just don't have a lot of time to play a lot of games. Most of the stuff that I'm doing right now is like Shadowrun Returns or more sort of off-kilter games like Don't Starve and things like that I really just enjoy messing around with and seeing what new elements they bring to the genres. Oh, that was a very good question. So assuming that we would have gotten a chance to do an Alpha Protocol sequel, there were a few elements that we were going to explore the title. One was intelligence sharing. We thought that one way of doing asynchronous multiplayer would be if different players went to different areas of the world and then chose to show different parts of intel about those areas. And that intel could either be true or false, but it would create different repercussions in a person's game as a result, depending on what intel they chose to follow or access. So that was one fun element. And also, it was going to be a little crazier than the first Alpha Protocol. I think that if you look at the progression of the Saints Row games, for example, I think that Alpha Protocol was more going in the direction of, okay, we did the espionage thing, and now why don't we ratchet it up to sort of embody more Kill Bill elements and have sort of more crazy characters that you encounter, because those personalities in Alpha Protocol were a lot of fun to write for. No, but if you supported Kickstarter, it's caused a huge morale boost to inXile, to Obsidian, and I think it's allowed for a greater range of game products than we would get normally. So if anyone's been a backer for the Kickstarter projects, I really appreciate it.